This is a Mountain News special report. Good afternoon. I'm Steve Hensley. We're awaiting another briefing from Governor Beshear on the devastating flooding that has happened across eastern Kentucky this week. The governor just finished a flyover of parts of eastern Kentucky devastated by flash flooding. He is landing in Frankfort as we speak, and we will hear from the governor momentarily. We can probably go to a live picture right now of the governor is landing there in Frankfort at the Boone National Guard Center. The original plan for the governor today was to actually stop in Hazard and give the briefing at the Wendell Ford airport, but there were some safety concerns about landing at the airport here in Hazard. So the governor still did the flyover, but he took off, of course, in Frankfort and is now back in Frankfort. So we will hear from the governor momentarily. He's already given one briefing this morning, and while we're waiting on the next one, I want to go over some of the headlines that we've already learned today. First of all, the president has already declared this a federal disaster in 13 eastern Kentucky counties. That means federal funding is available to the Commonwealth, eligible local governments, and certain private nonprofit organizations on a cost-sharing basis for emergency protective measures in these counties. These counties are under the federal disaster declaration: Breathitt, Clay, Floyd, Johnson, Knott, Leslie, Letcher, Magoffin, Martin, Owsley, Perry, and Pike, and also Wolfe County. So 13 counties right now covered by the federal disaster declaration. The governor announced this morning, unfortunately, an increase in the death toll. 16 Kentuckians in 4 counties are now confirmed dead, and the governor said that number is growing. A breakdown of counties: 1 person confirmed dead, an 81-year-old woman in Perry County. 11 people have died in Knott County alone, 11, including a 63-year-old man, a 65-year-old woman, and 2 children. 2 people have died in Letcher County, including a 79-year-old man and a 65-year-old woman. Of course, the video you're seeing now, drone video from Knott County, certainly one of the hardest hit areas. Also, 2 people have died in Clay County, including a 76-year-old woman. So again, 16 confirmed dead now, 1 in Perry, 11 in Knott, 2 in Letcher, and 2 in Clay, and unfortunately that number is expected to go up. In some areas, water is still high. Of course, the video we're showing you is from yesterday. It has receded in many areas like Isom there in Letcher County, but it is still high in some areas, especially rivers. There were record crests along the North Fork of the Kentucky River in Whitesburg and Jackson. Here in Hazard, the river crested around 26 feet overnight. That is far from a record. You would think, you would have to believe that the Carr Creek Dam may have prevented Hazard from having a very significant river flood, because there were record crests to the north and south in Whitesburg and Jackson. I've heard many people ask, how can we help? There are a number of ways, and we have just posted on our website a story about our Appalachia Rises campaign with some ways to donate monetarily. You can go to our website and find out all that information. Some more information released by the governor earlier today. There are a number of shelters obviously open across the region. At last check, there were 337 people in those shelters. The Kentucky National Guard, of course, is involved. They have rescued, at last count, 119 people by aircraft. KSP rescued 8 by air on Thursday. I believe the governor is speaking now. Let's go to him live. Okay. Let's go back to the live picture of the governor, if we can, in Frankfort. I thought I heard him talking, but apparently he's getting ready to talk. And there's you can see his senior advisor, Rocky Atkins. He is at the microphone now.
Thank you all for meeting us out here. I want to first thank the National Guard and their pilots today for taking both myself and FEMA officials, including the top FEMA official, Administrator Criswell, over parts of Perry County, ultimately over Breathitt County, through Jackson and back. The administrator has a flight to catch in Lexington. Going to ask her to go first, but again, grateful that less than a day, or right about a day after this hit, the top FEMA official is here and is here to help.
Governor, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us out here today. We did just have a really good opportunity to get a firsthand look at some of the damage and the devastation that these communities have experienced as a result of these floods. We saw many homes that are still inundated, that the water has not receded. And we also saw homes, I think, that are going to have access issues for some time. Just because the roads are out and bridges are out. And so we know that there is definitely some significant impact to the communities that we just flew over. My Deputy Regional Administrator, Robert Saman, he's going to stay here and answer any questions, but we're going to work really closely with the governor's team to document what we saw today and add additional assistance as warranted based on what we just saw in this flight. And as I said earlier this morning, we have urban search and rescue teams that are already on the ground. We actually saw some helicopters flying around still looking to see if there's any rescues that need to be done. And we'll continue, Governor, to be able to support any of your life-saving needs as well as the recovery from this really tragic event in Eastern Kentucky. Governor, thank you for giving me some time today to fly with you. And again, thank you to the National Guard for taking us up and letting us have that opportunity to see firsthand the true devastation that these communities are experiencing right now. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Very much.
So, as Governor, I've seen a lot. I've certainly done 3+ flights and/or tours over flooded areas. This is by far the worst. Perry County, a number of mudslides, roads that are impassable. And while we didn't get all the way into hazard, a number of homes that are nearly totaled. Jackson, the area around it, and Breathitt County, devastated. Much of the city itself underwater. Hundreds of homes, their ball fields, their parks, businesses, under more water than I think any of us have ever seen in that area. Absolutely impassable in numerous spots. So just devastating. Good news is that I saw no fewer than 6 helicopters out there actively making saves, looking for people, calling to boat crews. We have people still working so hard and that are so skilled to get people to safety. They were just in the area we were in, a number of them, and that is a good sign that we are marshaling the resources that we need. We are starting to receive more information of more deaths. We do not have an official update at this time, as they have to be verified by DPH. I have received notice that they've located the bodies of those 4 children mentioned in the Herald Leader story today, and I know we'll be contacting their parents. It means we've got at least 6 dead children, and that's hard. It's even harder for those families and those communities. So keep praying. There's still a lot of people out there, still a lot of people unaccounted for. We're going to do our best to find them all. Open it up for questions. All right.
I do have a question. One of our reporters in Breathitt County said that she's out there, field reporting. She said she heard that this morning their director of emergency management, their EMA, essentially resigned abruptly. Do you know if that is true, and if so, why?
I haven't heard that. If it's the case, we will ensure that they have all the resources that they need. But I haven't received that report directly. I know we have significant search and rescue going on in Breathitt County because I saw it, and we need it. That's the National Guard, that's the Kentucky State Police, that's Fish and Wildlife, it's the National Guard from Tennessee, from West Virginia. So haven't heard that but even if it's the case, we are not going to let it stop us from helping the people of Breathitt County.
And then what's the rest of your day look like today in regards to schedule of what you're planning to do?
Well, I'll head back over to the Emergency Operations Center to get an update. I will be in regular contact. We will put out probably a written update later today that'll provide any additional important updates. Some information needs to get out again, like the numbers to call for KSP if you can't find a loved one. That's really important, and any help in getting that out would be greatly appreciated. And then we'll see as we move into tomorrow. Now, it's a dynamic situation. Search and rescue is still ongoing. And we weren't able to reach parts of eastern Kentucky where the water hasn't even crested. But I know that we're going to do our very best. And I know everybody out there trying to help is doing their very best. We're going to be with those that have been impacted tomorrow, the next day, the next week, and the next year to get them back on their feet.
And I know tomorrow it is, those areas where the water hasn't even crested is set to do that tomorrow.
Yes.
What's kind of the plan in place for that when that happens?
Well, certainly once the water recedes and where it recedes, more people can get out. We can get to various equipment right now that we can't, hoping to get some of our water treatment facilities that have had to shut down. There's some natural gas we've had to shut down for access reasons, so I know that they will be there. Our folks are also very attuned to places that we're worried about getting to, that the water might come up again Monday and Tuesday. We want to make sure they have water. We also want to get people out of any area that we think could have any additional problems. The area in Jackson that we evacuated, make sure there aren't any more of those. But we've got to act quickly after the water recedes tomorrow, certainly before it rains again. But once the water goes down in any of these areas, we can do a lot more. We can check on a lot more people. We can go door to door, make sure everybody's okay. All right. Yeah.
Governor, I know you heard from folks over in western Kentucky and Mayfield. What
Yeah.
are the conversations like, because they know exactly what this type of devastation can mean.
It both picked me back up and it admittedly has me emotional. It's the mayor of Benton and Marshall County hit really hard. That was gathering supplies last night, and they're on their way now. You can understand if they keep those supplies. People there are still in need. And then, my goodness, the mayor sending the fire chief of Mayfield something really special. I know those people, though, and I guess after meeting them, I'm not surprised. But to hear how grateful they still are that the people of Kentucky were there for them, and they want to pay it forward, is a pretty good example for all of us. Yes?
Do you know when we can get IDs on the victims, their names, and any other information?
So the first information that we will put out will be demographic information. Like we do with COVID, we'll see what and when names might come. Certainly families would have to be notified first, and then we'll see what we can do from there.
You mentioned at least 6 children have died. Do you know which counties?
I don't have a firm grasp on the counties. I know that we have 2 in our official number. I believe we found 4 more, and it's going to grow from there. From everything we've seen, we may be updating the count of how many we lost for the next several weeks. Now, some of these areas, it's hard to know exactly how many people were there, and we might not have an exact number, and people that live in the area might not have an exact number. That makes calling those numbers, the KSP numbers, so important. Okay, thank you all very much. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, Governor Andy Beshear holding a brief news conference there after returning from a flyover of some of the devastated areas here in eastern Kentucky. He called it the worst flooding he has seen since he's been governor. And this governor has dealt with probably 2 of the worst natural disasters in our state's history. The terrible tornado outbreak that killed about 80 people back in December in western Kentucky, and now this flash flooding disaster here in eastern Kentucky. The governor unfortunately said among the dead, 6 children now confirmed dead. The official death toll, I believe, is still 16, but the governor said that will likely go higher, and we may be updating the death toll for weeks to come. Obviously, there are still people missing and unaccounted for, but again, the new information is that among the dead, 6 children. A lot of information was given out this morning. Just before we leave you, I just want to run through a few important things that we've learned today. First, as I mentioned off the top of this special report, the President has approved a federal disaster declaration for 13 eastern Kentucky counties. Those are Breathitt, Clay, Floyd, Johnson, Knott, Leslie, Letcher, McGoffin, Martin, Owsley, Perry, Pike, and Wolfe counties. That will mean federal funding will become available for those counties. Again, the official death toll, I believe, still stands at 16, but among those 6 children, we do know one person, an 81-year-old woman, died in Perry County. I have heard that there are more people missing here in Perry County. 11 people, at least, have died in Knott County. That included 2 children. 2 people have died in Letcher County, and 2 people have died in Clay County. And we've just learned the first name of one of the victims in Clay County. Our newsroom has just informed me that we have confirmed with the family that one of the 2 that died in Clay County's name is Walter Hinkle of the Bullskin area. One of the 2 that died in Clay County. This emergency obviously ongoing. Water is still high in some areas, although in many areas it's also crested. Of course, this was a major flash flooding event, but we did have rivers running high, especially the Kentucky River, and there were even record crests on the North Fork of the Kentucky River in Whitesburg and Jackson. The Whitesburg record crest and the Jackson record crest goes back many decades. So certainly just unbelievable, really, that the crests were that high. Here in Hazard, the crest of the North Fork was right on the line between minor and moderate stage at 26 feet. Very similar to the river flooding we've had in Hazard during the last few years. We've had, honestly, 5 or 6 floods between probably 23 and 26 feet on the North Fork in the last 6 or 7 years, including 2 last year. A lot of folks are wondering how to help. We have just posted a web story. We are partnering with some of our other sister stations, our gray stations, for the Appalachia Rises campaign, and we have information posted there about how you can help. I know a lot of people want to help. The governor actually mentioned that folks in western Kentucky affected by the tornadoes late last year are among those that have already stepped up to help us here in eastern Kentucky. There are still shelters available across the mountains. We have that information on our website too. We understand this morning there are more than 300 people, 337, and I'm sure that number has changed probably since then, 337 people at shelters across the region. If you've been impacted by the recent flash flooding, you can call the Red Cross. That number is 800 Red Cross. That's 800-733-2767, or again, 800 Red Cross. The Kentucky National Guard has rescued 119 people by aircraft. Just incredible. 119 people rescued by aircraft by the National Guard. State police have rescued 8 by air, and they have 2 helicopters in the air today. This is still very much a search and rescue operation. There are still folks missing. They're still searching for people that may need to be rescued. We're getting help from surrounding states on this. There are still multiple power outages. At the peak, there was about 23,000, and I looked about 2 hours ago, and there were still about 22,000 people without power, mainly Kentucky Power customers. And I'm sure a lot of that is there's still places that are just unreachable, and crews cannot get there to fix the power situation. So it's going to be probably days before everybody, maybe even weeks before everybody gets their power back on. Most of Perry County is without water. There are, of course, water outages all over the place. Most of Perry County is without water right now. They're having several issues. If you do have water in Perry County, you're under a boil water advisory. The governor said this morning 2 systems were not operational at all. That was as of 9:30 a.m. and those systems are Fleming Neon in Letcher County and Jackson in Breathitt County. Letcher and Breathitt both hit very hard by these floods, and tonight we will show you some of the video out of Letcher County. We weren't even able to get there yesterday, but we will have that for you tonight. Other than Fleming Neon and Jackson being not operational this morning, the governor said this morning that there are 21 other water systems with limited operations due to flooding and power outages, and obviously Hazard is one of those. Natural gas issues. Around 135 customers have been isolated and service discontinued due to the flooding in Hindman in Knott County. Kentucky Frontier Gas Jackson reported this morning that Frontier Gas had to shut off the system due to flooding of regulator stations under 10 feet of water. They have 635 meters out. Another big issue in Breathitt County right now, of course, is Panbowl Dam. As we told you last night, they did evacuate the area around Panbowl Dam just as a precaution. There were rumors that there was a breach. The water did not end up going over the dam, or there was not a break. That was just a precautionary measure, but we are told Highway 15 in that area will be closed through at least tomorrow. Now, the river in Jackson did crest this morning, but it's still extremely high, so they expect Highway 15 in that area to be closed through at least tomorrow. At least 14 counties and 3 cities have declared local states of emergency. And again, the big news coming out of Washington is that the president declared a federal disaster declaration. It's rare you get a federal declaration this soon after a disaster, but it has happened here. 13 counties in that federal disaster zone. Well, we have reporters surveying the damage again today across the region, and we'll have updates, team coverage beginning today on First at 4. We hope you'll join us then. Until now, we're going to send you back to regular programming. I'm Steve Hensley. Have a good afternoon.